All right. Abani Ghani, everyone. This is Professor Rahh, Professor Emeritus, California State University of Long Beach, um, former city councilman for the city of Compton, former Compton College Board of Trustees, and former Compton Unified School District Board of Trustees. We want to welcome you to the Conscious Corner, where we're going to have a serious discussion about the history and of activism at the Cal State University of Long Beach, along with the Community Education Network that is responsible for this program, laid the platform, Brother Rashaki Maskani, our alumni of Cal State Long Beach. Tonight we have special guests, special strong guests that see, they lived the history and brought history to Long Beach as far as activism, my brother. And we just want to thank everyone for being here. Sister Dr. Rose Allen has just joined us. And Sister Dr. Rose Allen, and she's going to share some thoughts with us this evening. Brother Mshinda and Sister Ixchel, Vice Principal of Centennial High School. Brother Minister Quayle, who is over the Oakland Mosque and a strong and powerful minister for the Nation of Islam. And Brother Rashaki Maskani, as well as Mshinda, who's out in Louisiana, and others will join us. And we're just happy to have you. We're hoping that Brother Denif will chime in, but we'll see. But we're going to get started. What we're trying to do is sort of document the history of activism at Cal State University, Long Beach, by Black students and the institutions that are still there, the culture that they left there, of consciousness, and all the programs and challenges that they did to set that was a part of the whole Black movement, that was influenced by the whole Black movement out of the 60s that rolled into the 70s and into the 80s. These students are heroes and heroines of a great legacy at Cal State Long Beach, from the programs that they instituted and from the demonstrations and protests that they waged, risking their lives and their future, knowing that they were up against a beast. But they liberalized that campus to the point that they brought forth many Black faculty and staff that are all over the campus now, as well as Black programs, instead of culture for the Black Student Union, that no matter how much they try to suppress it, that it still lives. And that includes the Black graduation, the Black Consciousness Conference, the development of and the spreading of Upward Bound EOP, as well as the Black Study Student Association. All those institutions are still there, and they still have the fingerprints of these students. And they got to tell their story, why they became active, and what was some of the highlights while they were experienced. And out of respect for its time, and what's and his in his position as being the head of a mosque for the Nation of Islam, we're going to let Brother Quayle Alexander Muhammad, Brother Quayle Muhammad, Minister Quayle Muhammad, lead us off with some conversations about his experience at Cal State Long Beach as an alumni, what his sons are doing, and give us some highlights from the Savior Day from the Nation of Islam by way of talking about Cal State Long Beach. Brother Quayle Muhammad, Minister Quayle
to Allah. Yeah. Well, first, let me greet everyone with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
And it is certainly a great blessing. I received a call not long ago, less than an hour, from Brother Barry Thomas, and we don't talk often. So when I saw it on the caller ID, I knew that this was a call that I absolutely must take. He informed me that we're discussing the history of Black Studies, the Black Student Union, and activism at Long Beach State. And I couldn't resist because anytime I'm down in Southern California, you may not know it, but I find my way onto the campus just to walk the grounds that were a birthplace for me in the way of service. When I came into the Black Student Union, it was shortly after a trip to Egypt with my mother, with Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakanan. Not knowing what to do exactly with what I was learning, my mom gave me two tapes, audio tapes, that I drove with from LA to Long Beach every day for school. Those tapes were Dr. Naeem Akbar, whom I had never heard of, but it was Dr. Akbar in Long Beach State at the Black Consciousness Conference, more than likely. Also, the tape of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at the Los Angeles Forum. And I nursed those tapes until I made my way and found the Black Student Union. So it would be early 1986 that I made my way through the doors of my first meeting consciously. Though I can say in my first year or so of college, while I was working to earn a place on academic probation and near academic disqualification, because I didn't give any attention really to what was happening in class at that time of my life. But I actually came to Long Beach, Professor Rahh, for the first time as a football player to meet the coach. And it was shortly after the murder of Brother Ron Settles. I didn't know much or of all about it at the time while I was playing football at Dorsey High School. I knew it had happened. I knew no details. But when I came and walked into the first BSU meeting, it was so hot. I think whoever was running that meeting, a white person tried to come in and they threw him out. And I didn't know what I was looking at. But it was certainly an experience for me. But it took for me the consciousness awakening moment of traveling to Egypt and nursing on the truths that were being sounded by the many guest speakers that we would have, by the camaraderie of the Black Student Union, and immediately Sister Amanika, who I went to high school with, and may Allah be pleased with her. She is 1 year younger than I, but we were officers together in student council at Dorsey High. So that when I found my way toward the BSU, I was welcomed. And I thank Allah for her and for it. Became historian, then vice president, and eventually president. During those years, the camaraderie of the BSU was so great that for me to even see Sister Ixchel or Brother Patrick, I saw a picture of them on Instagram a few days ago, and it brightened up my whole day because I had not seen them in so long. And I don't want anyone ever to think that because a brother learned some Islam, that he forgot where he came from. Islam didn't make me forget. Islam makes me to remember, to respect, and to give credit where credit is due. All praises are due to Allah for the people like yourself, Professor Rahh, that entered my life, that helped me to grow, to become a greater servant to the causes that are around me. And so our time in Long Beach, as you stated, the many programs that were strengthened or enhanced up to and including the strength of the Black Studies Department, our brother who became its director. There was a student force that made it more palatable for Dr. Karenga to be received at Long Beach State as its now then director of Black Studies. The strength of the BSU was so strong that when Minister Farrakhan came to Long Beach State in May of 88, that to this day, Professor Rahh, we still haven't paid for that gym. They put out the NCAA basketball team from their practice, gave us the gym at no expense. I thank our sister who worked in scheduling. They're still trying to find that bill. And if they try to bill me now, I'm protesting. But the point that I'm raising, though, is that the many confrontations that were happening on college campuses of those that were falsely accusing the minister wherever he went At Long Beach State, they kept their mouths shut. Now the question becomes, why did they keep their mouths shut? I think part of that is a tribute to you and everybody else from Compton that came into Long Beach State, because we had an attitude that if you don't start none, it won't be none. And you really just need to leave this alone. So the minister came and spoke. And of course, the Black Consciousness conferences maintained their strength throughout the years. Because
Brother Quayle,
yes, sir.
You had froze for a minute. Could you
I'm sorry.
Go back a few seconds ago and start again with what you were saying?
I said that the Black Student Union maintained a strength that made it possible for the many programs, including the hiring and maintenance of Dr. Karenga, who returned to the campus during that era. We were so blessed to see his return, but that when Minister Farrakhan came to the campus, the oppositional groups that he found at campuses all over the country were quiet at Long Beach State. And I give that tribute to the fact that so many at Long Beach were straight out of Compton. And quite frankly, that's not a fight they really wanted to wage. Now, I don't know if Brother Danifu is on yet, but I can say that we had a great rally in 1987 in defense of Sister Annette Cannoli. And that would have actually been, if I had gone, my first time in the mosque, because I was invited to speak. Minister Farrakhan was there, but we chose at that time, Brother Charles Walker and myself, that it was more important to stay and lock down the logistics of that rally, which was very dangerous in that moment. The university vice president came to me before that rally and said, look, Quayle, if any, I don't know if he said Quayle, he probably said Keith, that if anything happens out here, now I'm the BSU vice president at the time. He said, if anything happens out here, we are going to hold you responsible. So I certainly appreciated the many students, and they threatened that we were not going to move the rally from in front of the bookstore to the University Student Union, not Student Union, the administration building, which we absolutely did. We defied whatever they said. They put that building on lockdown, surrounded it with law enforcement, but we were blessed on that day to come out of it safely. And I'll never forget it, because there was a brother who was an FOI on campus. His name is Jeff Muhammad. And Brother Jeff stood behind me. I didn't have a bow tie yet. I didn't know anything about that. He's standing behind me while I'm speaking. And, when I took the mic, I started to do what God blessed us to do. And the brother said to me, brother, Minister Farrakhan told me to tell you that he doesn't want to see any of our people hurt out here. Now look back and look, brother, I got this. Brother, I got this. I hear you, but I got this. And we were blessed that our sister Annette was maintained as a student. They threatened her with expulsion for some silliness. But the reality
nickel change.
Was that
over a nickel change?
Yeah, over some change at the bookstore. So that allowed us the respect, I would say, of the campus administration, of the student body, because on that day, we really could have gone to war. And I call up the name Brother Danifu and others from the Moorish Science Organization, because when it looked like it was going to be a fight, they geared up for the fight. So as I stated, there were so many straight out of Compton that on that day, those pressures came from multiple avenues against the administration and the call for justice. And on that day, Almighty God himself blessed us, because we certainly could have gone down in a fight. So I'm thankful for the experience. I see my brothers and sisters that are online with us, some of whom were there at that time. But for me, the great graduation was that with whatever I learned as a member of the Black Student Union, I took it with me to the Nation of Islam, that I could accept my own and be myself, that when I walked in the door, nobody knew a name of me other than Quayle. But once I went through the process, I became known as Keith 3X. As the law would have it, we were making progress, and I was sent to Oakland to be its minister. And in 1993, as the minister spoke at the LA Sports Arena, after the event, he walked up to me and said, "I have a name for you." He never called me Keith, hardly ever. He would call me the young brother from Oakland, because when we met in May of '88, I was introduced to him as Brother Quayle. Then he looked at me and said, "Well, who is Keith?" A name he had because I signed a contract from the university, and that was my legal name. So I signed the contract, Keith. He looked at me and he kind of nodded his head with a small smile on his face. And for years, Professor Rahh, I can probably count on one hand how many times the minister ever called me Keith. In 2019, after the funeral of Nipsey Hussle, and we came down with the minister to support the brothers there in a room with other ministers, he gave me a name that he said he had for me in 1993, which is Abdul Sabur Muhammad. Abdul meaning the servant of, Sabur meaning the patient one, and of course, Muhammad, one worthy of praise. And so that's a piece of my story, but there's so much more that we could share. But I have online with us, I don't know where he is now, Brother Patrick, who was a student at Jordan High School while we were working with the Student Affirmative Action Program to recruit students into Long Beach State. And we took it upon ourselves that we would not simply walk out with an application in our hand. We would walk out and into those schools with a message. I don't know what Patrick intended to do. It didn't seem like he had a great plan for himself at the 12th grade. That's, "Well, brother, you come to Long Beach State." And because it wasn't an electronic system in those days, we'd hand them an application. We'd hand carry the application back to the campus. We would work through Charles Walker or whoever and get that application into the admission office. And if there were any question about it, we would answer every question to see to it that our students would be admitted. That was the process that we were using at that time. And next thing I knew, Brother Patrick was sleeping on my living room floor, became my roommate along with John Moore and the late, great Brother Victor. And we had a wonderful time there at Long Beach State. I had to kick Brother Omari out a couple of times because he wouldn't leave my house, eating up all my bean soup, but that's okay. I think I may have taught him a recipe or two. So it's a great honor to be here with you all, and I'm anxious to hear what everyone has to share.
Thanks, Brother Minister, and deeply appreciate your presence, your time that you granted us, and just how you have risen to be one of the key movers of the Nation of Islam. And I know the minister is proud of you, we're proud of you, and we're proud of your family. You've kept them all conscious, kept them all progressive, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Praise
and
be to Allah.
Deeply appreciate you.
If I might add, Professor Rahh, you asked me about we talked about my sons before we came on.
Yeah.
My second son, Ismail, became president of the Black Student Union in San Francisco State and hosted the statewide Black Student Union conference there a number of years ago. But his big brother, Salih, also became the Black Student Union president at UC Berkeley. And from there, they launched or relaunched the statewide organizations of Black student unions, which you might hear if you're connected to the colleges, BSUs now, that every year they have something called the ABC Conference, the African Black Conference of Student Leadership. They've got web pages, activity on all of the campuses, UC, Cal State. So whatever it was that I knew or thought to do while we were in college, my son is Quayle on steroids. Everything was expanded and improved. And I certainly appreciate watching him do it, because when he was a young man, a boy, he could go into my files of remains I had from the BSU. And I wouldn't be surprised if he could recite the preamble to the Black Student Union that we used to recite at every meeting, because he actually went through the news articles, the clippings, the things that we recited at every meeting. Some that are listening may recall a preamble to our Constitution written by Brother Daryl Grayson Thabiti. And we would start every meeting with a pledge that said we struggle for our ancestors who struggled before us, for ourselves and for our youth who continue the struggle. And we would recite that we are not lawyers, engineers, doctors, technologists, and administrators who happen to be Black, but Black people who have chosen these fields to advance our people's cause. I'm paraphrasing now because it's been 30-some years. But the point that I'm raising here is there were so many great lessons. And among the greatest lessons is the camaraderie, the friendship, the support. We would gather at the home of Brother Shupabu and others. And next thing you know, we're making tacos and making Sister Ixchel shred the cheese and cut the lettuce, because we had that kind of family nature, and that is what supported our revolutionary zeal.
Man, that's beautiful, man. That's a beautiful commentary, brother. And thank us.
Patrick, excuse me, I'm Professor Rahh. Patrick is in the waiting room.
He's in the what?
In the waiting room. He's waiting to get accepted in the meeting.
He's in the waiting room.
He must be at the wrong one. He's not there.
Okay, hold on.
Go to Conscious Corner. Tell him to go to Conscious Corner.
Go to the meeting that's for today, I guess.
Yes, Conscious Corner.
Underneath that.
All right.
Okay. Look out for him.
All right, Ixchel. How are you doing?
I am wonderful.
Ixchel is Vice Principal of Centennial by way of Compton Unified School District. She had me as a guest speaker at Cal State Dominguez. I'll never forget it. She's one of the few students that maintain her Black consciousness wherever she was. And the students loved her at Compton. And I went on the campus, and she was the lady that they went to for any issues. And I want you to tell us about your experience at Cal State Long Beach in student activism, and some of the highlights of your enrollment there.
Well, one of the highlights is that Brother Kweli is the one who invited me to my first BSU meeting. And so I want to say that Jama 2 runs real deep here. And so it is so indoctrinated into my life. You know, being a part of the BSU was foundational. All the skills that I learned in organizing, being BSU secretary, treasurer, historian, planning the Black Consciousness Conference, participating in the protests, regarding Annette, and all of those things have shaped my life from when I graduated and I left Cal State Long Beach. But all of those things that I learned are just a part of me and a part of my being. And so when you say that I was the one that people went to when you saw them, it's still the same way. Mm-hmm. You know, wherever I go, that's it. People will still come to me. But I'm so overjoyed to see Kweli and you, Professor Rahh, because that time at Cal State Long Beach was very critical, and Omar to my life, and when we say Jama 2, that's family, and you are my second family, and it doesn't matter if I haven't seen you for 1 year, 20 years, 30 years. It's just like we never miss a beat, because the love runs deep, right?
Yeah.
And so, and Kweli, when you mentioned Victor, in my dealings, I happened to run into Victor's brother, Stanley Jackson, and I just, not knowing who he was, when you mentioned Cal State Long Beach, and he started talking about his brother, and I was like, yes, I know your brother. He took me home. That's one of the things that I loved about Jama too, because everybody took me home. Quayle took me home. Rashidi took me home. Omar picked me up, brought me to school, took me home. You know, it's just family. And I just love that. So every time that I get an opportunity to speak and talk about the Long Beach State BSU, I always talk about Jama too, because there is nothing like it anywhere. Nothing like it. And so I just want you guys to know that that I love you so very much. And you have impacted my life eternally. And I just thank God for that, because it's nothing like that. Nothing at all.
Well, I used to enjoy taking you home too, Yeah, right over there by the park.
Yes.
Right across from City.
Yes. I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that park.
Enterprise.
Enterprise Park. Yeah, well, there was some good rides home. We always had a good conversation. Brother Patrick, can you hear me?
Hear me.
Can you hear him? I got him on the phone.
Okay.
You got me on the phone. Can you still hear me, Ixchel?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Patrick, talk about how you been, brother, and how's everything going? And talk about your experience as president of BSU and your work there and what you're doing now.
I got some technical
we're just glad to hear from you.
Look, right now, bro, right now my heart is real. I mean, you just don't know. My heart is I'm getting emotional. Kuumba. I'm getting very emotional. Professor Rahh,
Yes.
the Jama 2 is amazing.
Mhm.
I was at Jordan High School. I was saluting in the mirror because I was so scared, didn't know what I was going to do. And I was one of those that came, I'm going to watch, baby. I came from some things, growing up. But I was one of those kids that was considered a smart kid. I was always grabbed at the right time. And it was Quayle, Brother Quayle. At that time, Keith 3X, who sat me down and made me fill out a college application. And the power of the Jama 2 was, if you had potential, the Jama 2 got you in college. And what ended up happening was, the brother got me, navigated me into Long Beach State. And then the brother got in my head, and he I learned some things. I learned what it was to be a black man. I learned what it was to take a stand and to mean something for your people. And the experience I had at Long Beach State was so beautiful. It hasn't, it's really a saving grace even for me today. Because, as I begin to come back, because, I had a hard moment there for a while, not knowing accepting the issues in life, bad divorce, a couple of things. And when I came back, guess who was there for me? It was Ixchel. It was Kuumba. It was these brothers that grabbed me by my hand and say, "No, brother, you're worthy." And the power of the Jama 2 goes deep. It goes deep. I would not, right now, I'm a part of life again. I'm doing some things in life again. I'm of service to people again, all because of extension of the Jama 2. The friends that I have, the real true friends I have in life right now, is from my experience at Long Beach State, from my experience with the BSU. The things we did as a group can't be duplicated. I mean, I try to explain the level of consciousness and the level of power we had as a group of young people, and some people just don't get it. I mean, the level of consciousness, organization that took place. I mean, what I learned, I carry with me every day into my professional life and everything. I'm so grateful for the opportunity just to see you guys. I'm so grateful to see you, Professor Rahh. I'm so grateful to see all of you.
It's beautiful.
Hello.
We understand how it is a touching moment for all of us to see each other again, because we reflect on those days. It makes us look back on our history, and we have to tell this because many students come to school now. They think it was always the way it is. They didn't know people struggle to get it the way it is. For them to walk on campus and get financial aid and the various things, the welcome to have a BSU there to represent them for a critical issue. And you as president of the BSU, how'd that go, Patrick?
I apologize. I'm having some technical issues.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay then. Dr. Allen, are you there? Rose? Okay, she may have stepped away. Brother, where is Brother Fareed?
Professor
Go
Rahh.
ahead, brother. You know, give the people greetings. Richard, King Fareed. You on mute.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I on mute now?
No. Then we're gonna go to Brother Brother
Okay.
Tommy Muhammad.
Okay.
Thomas Muhammad.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, our Badigani brothers and sisters.
James Asante, son of Badigani.
Yes. I want to echo a lot of what's already been said, not so much in some of the personal experiences, although that's essentially where my comments come from, that you guys have had that came, some of the things they experienced, but I want to dovetail a lot of what was just said, particularly the last brother that spoke. My experience in Long Beach State, particularly the BSU, because I was a driver of me staying at Long Beach State. I had backed my way into the school with brother Danifu. He got me into Long Beach State. I came in on a program that I wasn't fully eligible for, but when he sat me down in front of Napoleon Harris and Danifu was there, he was quite persuasive. And Napoleon Harris just agreed and allowed me to come in. So that was my entree into the fall of '76. And I want to say that I came from an area that was pretty straight ahead, but I made a lot of bad, youthful decisions at that time. So I didn't have a North Star. So even getting in school was more or less just to satisfy my mom at the time. But I found a sense of purpose, and I found a sense of direction, and I found a whole lot of people that I fell in love with, and I believe they loved me back by the way they raised me, the way they involved me, the way they stayed connected with me, and what they continue to do to help change and affect my life. So to me, Long Beach State and the BSU in particular was a life-affirming experience. Mm-hmm. When I got to that school, I wasn't much of a person who would step into a room and make it a point to be seen or known. That wasn't my thing. I moved in silence. But when I got to Long Beach State and I happened chance of being an English major, I was doing a lot of reading and actually doing a lot of speaking in that space. And by connecting with all the wonderful people that I connected with at BSU, particularly you, Ron, if you don't mind, I want to regale these folks with that image, that first image I saw of you. I've talked about this before, but in a moment. But by coming to Long Beach State and being around the brothers and sisters who are on a quest for self-knowledge, for reimagining the world and their own image and interests at the time, I hadn't thought about any of these things. So it was enlightening. It was eye-opening. It was cathartic on some levels, and it just really, really served to help me become a different human being. Now, back to this image. The first time I stepped in one of Dr. Rahh's classes, it was an image that I'd seen on TV or newspaper or elsewhere, but not in the flesh. And here's this 6'5" brother.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
With this leather jacket on, with these long braids and these long glasses, and just the image. That was just one of the strongest black male images I'd been feet away from. So it struck me as something unique. And then you open up your mouth and invited everybody into the class and challenge everyone in that same class. And I came away from that experience along with everyone else I met and a lot of the people on the call here to just thinking about what I really wanted to become, what I really wanted to do with my life. And I had an opportunity to really grow through the BSU, make connections through the BSU, become a different being through the BSU. As a result of my involvement with all the people that were part of those programs during my years there, I ended up being one of the three people that created a Black Law Society with Marshall and Jesse, some people that have passed. I also had a chance to recruit minorities for Irvine Medical School. Had an opportunity to visit a number of law schools and talk about that with other young Black minds, male and females that had interests in pursuing law. So I had a lot of different things that were opportunities that I would never have pursued or be able to take advantage of had it not been for my experience with the BSU. So I'm forever beholden for everyone that I see and I speak with that are attached themselves to that in some way. They're kindred to me, and I'm kindred to them because we came out of a place which was a hotbed for thought leaders, movers and shakers on their level. And I love them then, I love them now, and I'll remember this for the remainder of my life, and I'll continue to be driven by a lot of the principles and things that I learned because of my involvement there. So I can go on, but that's essentially just my elation of what you're doing here with this program and allowing us to just give voice to our experiences.
We want people to hear from the people that made the history, what you were thinking and what you got out of the program, but also what you gave to others while you were there. I mean, y'all were role models to emulate. You set a culture so when Black students hit campus, the consciousness was there.
Yeah.
And they, some got involved, some didn't, but the majority got involved, and that's what strengthened us. It was the fact that we claimed all Black people, active or inactive, as a part of the movement. And that was a beautiful thing. Brother Thomas Muhammad, are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you talk about your experience at Cal State Long Beach? Minister Quayle Muhammad is on with us.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Happy Savior's Day.
Salam. Happy Savior's Day to you as well.
Oh, praise me. We just got back from a beautiful, beautiful Savior's Day convention in Chicago. I got to see my brother Sabur, Abdul Sabur Muhammad. So we got to show some love there. But my experience at Long Beach State is phenomenal. It's going to be very difficult to talk about because it's like when I think about my journey in life as from a young man to a Muslim to a professional educator, some of my best years of development took place at Cal State Long Beach. But I want to pay homage to a brother that pretty much as soon as I hit that campus, he took me under his wing. He opened his arms to me. He introduced me to all of the campus leadership, the BSU at that time, the BSU president, Brother Gerald Hill, vice president, Brother Brian, and all the other administrators. And he just engulfed me with an open arms. And I want to give praise and credit to my brother, Omar Kuumba Montgomery. He was like a big brother to me, even though I'm older than him. And he looks older than me. He was like my big brother on campus, and he introduced me to the entire administration, and he got me on the path to becoming one of the campus leadership. And he first got me to, he told me about the BSU. He told me about the history of the BSU. And he told me about, I've already heard about his father, Brother Rahh, Brother Professor Rahh, but he really gave me a history of what his father did for the Black students in the BSU at Cal State Long Beach. And then Brother Omar told me some of the processes they had to go through, that he felt that I would be a good addition to the legacy of the Black Student Union. So he told me about the process that I needed to undergo in order for me to be president of the BSU, because he immediately, saw something that I would be a great contribution. And by the will of Allah, I thank him for seeing what he saw. So I became second vice president. The second year that I got there in 94. By 95, I was second BSU president. And then by 96, 97, I became president of the BSU. And that experience just was phenomenal. It opened me up to aspect of leadership that I never could have imagined in terms of being able to be an umbrella organization of all the Black organizations on campus, and being able to act as a unifying dynamic as it pertains to making sure that all the Black organizations came together under that banner of the Black Student Union. All the fraternal organizations, the Black, specific majors, whether it was the NSB or other, all the organizations on campus fell under the BSU and respected the BSU. And I would have never had that experience if it wasn't for Brother Omar. I just want to say the BSU, the unity on that campus was so strong. I don't remember a day where I didn't hug a brother or sister ever since I stepped on that campus. I had been on that campus for 6 years, and every day I hugged a brother or sister with love and respect. And it was just that phenomenal. It was just that unified. We had, we claimed certain areas on that campus, and we allowed our culture to invigorate that campus. We had a barbecue down there in the Union. We had so many different things going on there. We had, the Black Consciousness Conference was. Say that again.
No, that was Patrick. Patrick, mute yourself, Patrick, because we can hear you. Go ahead, brother Thomas.
Yes, sir. We had these areas that we claimed on that campus that was specifically for Black people. But one other thing I wanted to speak of that the BSU really, really did that opened my eyes to the unity and the love was we had this BSU welcoming session, where the BSU kind of reached out to Black students before they even got on campus, and then to kind of introduce itself and open itself up to Black students so they could streamline straight into the benefits and the love and the unity and the relationships the BSU had to offer them. And then we had like a beginning of the year BSU type of welcoming gathering, in the Seroptimus house. And these things are phenomenal. I don't know if they still have them now, but these things really stand out because when I became president, we invited Brother Student Minister Malik Saeed Brother Abdul Malik Saeed Muhammad out. Then it was Brother Student Minister Tony Muhammad when he first came to Los Angeles, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time for the BSU. Beautiful opportunity to be a part of it, and it was so much love. And post BSU, just to close out, for about 2 years, I was like an advisor to the Black Student Union, dealing with the Black, let them, kind of guiding them on some of the Black Consciousness Conference preparations that they did for a couple of years. I was like one of the, used to volunteer my time to kind of help the BSU structure itself, to try to maintain that spirit of love and unity and consciousness on campus. Like I said, brothers and sisters, it was a phenomenal experience. I thank Brother Omar for just opening his arms to me and beginning a legacy in my life that definitely impacted me to the point where it guided me on to where I've never left Long Beach. I still stay in Hawaiian Gardens. I'm from San Diego, California. I've made Long Beach area my home, and it's like I can't even go back to San Diego because of that spirit that I've been addicted to ever since I came up here. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Brother Rahh. Your classes were phenomenal. I remember the discussions. I used to go to the class because all of the brothers and sisters went to your class, and we used to have these vibrant discussions that we wouldn't have anywhere else on campus about all issues as it pertains to past, present, and the future of Black prosperity, consciousness and awareness, African history. Oh, it was phenomenal. Your class was like a home. It was like a hub of brotherhood and sisterhood, and I thank Allah for you, brother Rahh. I thank Allah for you, brother Omar. I thank Allah for everybody, that all of the stories that we have, and thank you for this opportunity to just pay homage to this awesome legacy of the Black Student Union at Cal State Long Beach.
Yeah, and thank you, Brother Thomas, for all you have done, all you're doing, being at Compton. I think you're still at Compton High?
I'm at Dominguez High School now, so yes, sir. I was still at Compton
You were
High
at
School.
Compton, right?
Yes, sir, I was. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
but for you teaching them young people, I know you be doing it, and that's just a beautiful thing that they're blessed to have you as a teacher and have Ixchel as an administrator.
Yes, sir.
And just a beautiful thing. And the beautiful thing about most of the people that were in the BSU went on to do great things. Brother Gerald in Washington, D.C., Gerald Hill, and Dr. Rosemarie Allen is over one of the biggest nonprofits in Denver. My son is Director of Diversity at Cherry Creek High School. Kuumba, you want to chime in and say anything?
Yes, first I just want to say it's an honor to be here. To my father, I just want to say thank you for forcing me to fill out that application to go to Cal State Long Beach. Because Lord, no, my senior year in high school, he ain't gonna say it. I was all over the place. And he forced me, he sat me down, had me fill out the EOP application, had me fill out the application, walked me to the office. So I just want to thank my father first for introducing me to the Cal State Long Beach family, to Minister Keith X and Patrick Hall as mentors. Patrick took me to my first BSU meeting, like literally grabbed me and took me. And Quayle was like, I was at his apartment all the time. I was always at Quayle's apartment. Quayle made some of the best fish in the world. So he would bake the fish and I'd come in and we would talk about life. Patrick and I was, we were like together. Patrick, I, and Ixchel. We were all broke. So we would all go to Ixchel house and hang out, do poetry. Ixchel would cook for everyone. And I just remember those times. And I was able to come through a transition of generations because as Quayle graduated, as Patrick graduated, Ixchel graduated, then my hanging partners was Thomas Horn, Gerald Hill, Mark Guillory. Then when I say we went through a lot of stuff my father don't even know and I won't even bring up to him. But we were brothers and we still brothers today.
That's right.
When I couldn't drive back home, I would be at Gerald's apartment. Gerald would let me sleep on the couch.
Absolutely.
I couldn't drive back to LA. There was times Gerald was at my house in LA and drove to Oakland to meet his family. Thomas Horn, I mean, brother, him and I had so many conversations.
That's right.
3-4 hours in the parking lot.
That's right.
That I say I'm going home at 7 o'clock and didn't get home till midnight because him and I was talking. But what did all that do? All that did was make me a better person, make me a better leader, uplifted my consciousness, uplifted my Black consciousness. And being president of the NAACP, having the mentors that I have from Barry Thomas, Charles Walker,
Jubal,
William Gideon, Libby Thomas, Andre. I can go on about all the mentors I had.
Can you hear?
Dr. Rosemarie Allen.
I don't hear anybody else, but I can hear you.
Go ahead, Kuumba.
Just just, and I'll end on this. I just want to say the Long Beach family is more than just in Long Beach. It's nationwide. And when you hear people say, especially if they Black, they went to Cal State Long Beach, they take pride in that Jama 2 concept. They take pride in the BSU preamble. They take pride in the leadership skills that they learn. And more importantly, they take pride in taking an Amun-Ra class, which wasn't just a class, but an institute to develop and uplift Black people so
That's
that
right.
we can take everything that we learned to the community. It wasn't a class. It was an institute of development. And to my brother Patrick, hey, I still remember the time we got stopped by the police the day we graduated from college. And that was just a wild scene because it happened right in front of my mother. And so Patrick and I, right in front of my mother, guns drawn on us, the day we graduated from college. So when I say there's a bond, there's a history, it's more than just what we learned, it's also what we experienced. Love you all. Thank you for this time. And I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone else has to say.
I love you, Kuumba.
Brother Patrick and all y'all are amazing, amazing. Dr. Allen,
Hey
you
there.
got to have some input.
You know, it's really amazing. I was listening to Omar talk about your classes as being an institute. I know I talked the last few times about how I came in and was really mentored by Danifu and Bobby Johnson and Hakeem. Urban Hakeem, I'm sorry. And I'm looking at Fareed like, come on, sis, and just really, really, really embraced and mentored by them. And then the mentoring of Majaliwa and Jinjay and Jerry Davis and Michael Williams and that whole crew that here we are 45 years later, still close. And of course, Barry Thomas being the glue that held us together, and Freddie Jett just really taking us in. But Rahh, you were just that master leader of that institute. And I was thinking the other day of some of the gold nuggets that you gave to me when I was 18, 19 organizing. And one of them is when I would get so frustrated with people who just weren't interested in being conscious. And you said, you got to stop dealing with the people stuff. You're a goddess. You got to rise above and attract people up there with you. And then another one was I would fuss all the time because come to meetings, do this, and that real new leadership as a teen, and just helping me understand you can't fuss at people and argue with them. You have to inspire them and encourage them. And you set that example, and I've been doing that for the last 45 years. So when you think about what we've taken, one of the greatest things I took away from our time at our mini HBCU within a PWI was none of this is for us. And those 4 years from 17 to 21, I learned that we are not there for us, but we are there to gain the knowledge we need to uplift our communities. And you should be very proud of every seed that you've planted and the way that it has grown and the seeds that have spread. I've heard Minister Muhammad talk about his children, and my son has that same activist spirit, even more so than I did at his age, and my daughter in the same way. So what you've done, what you built there, did not only impact us, because here I am at 66 years old, still remembering it, but it impacted my children and will impact my grandchildren. And that's how we create. When we talk about generational wealth, we make a grave mistake if we think it's only money. It includes money, but it's the wealth of knowledge that we pass on for generations that will continue to liberate our people.
That's beautiful, Dr. Allen. And
Rahh,
yeah.
Barry want to say something.
Okay, Jubal's listening too also. Jubal, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear very well, thank you.
Can y'all hear Jubal?
Hey, Jubal.
Hey, Jubal.
That's Rose. That's Rose.
So many years, Rose. I appreciate all you've done and how you've kept up this struggle.
Okay, then. Well, you said Barry wanted to say something, Rashaki?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yo, Professor Rahh,
Yes.
how you doing? I just wanted to chime in. It just does my heart good to listen to all of my young brothers and sisters on this call this evening, because I pride myself on being able to communicate with them all. And as Dr. Allen so graciously put it, Jama is not a fad, it is a thing. It's a lifelong commitment, and I can attest to that. I was here at the rehab hospital visiting my mom, and she insisted to make sure I got on the call because my mom knows how important it is to me, but it's important to her, because she was exposed to many things there, and how those lifelong bonds have existed and what we learned while we were there. And in our effort to continue to play it forward and to continue to carry it on, but all of my young brothers and sisters who continue to dare greatness and continue to dare to be great and continue to commit themselves to making it better than we inherited. My hat's off to you all, and I will always, always be there for you when you need me. So I just want to say thank you to you all. Appreciate it.
All right, Barry. And Barry, thank you for keeping us together also. Me and Barry talk almost every day. He checks on my health. He just said, I'm just checking on you, brother. Because excuse me, I've been having these health issues, but Barry been right there with me, encouraging me to be strong and keep pushing. And I want to let Brother Jubal talk about his experience at Cal State Long Beach. Y'all remember Asar Jubal? Yeah, he painted the first mural. And it was the mural, the first flyer for the Black Consciousness Conference, and he was on the committee to free the Nifu. And he was, me and him had many demonstrations, Brother Quayle, along with Minister at the Nation of Islam. We went to the topographical tour in those days, and Asar Jabal, he's been traveled all over the world, been to Africa, Japan. Now he's been living in Cuba for I don't know how many years, but he's out there with Asada Shakur and all the other brothers and sisters. And I don't know how he do it. Every time I talk to him, he say, "Where the power go out, and we're suffering from, inflation and things." But we learn to live. Everybody just jump on the bus, and and I mean, it's wonderful for him to tell us how he lived in Cuba as a black man in Cuba for that many years, and still there. Go ahead, Asar.
I'm here. One thing I wanted to say is when I first went up to Long Beach State, I believe it was 78, right around there. And I went as an art major, totally unconscious. And I went as an art major. And in my second year, one of the required classes to receive a degree in art was, I think they called it something like primitive art or whatever. But I looked over in Black Studies, and Vernell da Silva had a class. Do you remember what that class was called that he had then? I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, I decided, well, I'll take this class and then, try to get credit for it from the art department, because the class was not recognized as a required class in other departments. So anyway, I go in there, man, that was the first class I had at that university where I actually learned something. It was incredible. And every student was required to do a painting, even some of them never even seen a paintbrush in their life. And that was the final. Everybody in that class did a painting. And at the end of the semester, we had a showing of all of those paintings. And then after we finished that, you know, and me and Vernell started working together to try to, as we say, get the credit for his class accredited to the whole campus. So so I've set up an interview with him, with the art department. So they wanted to question him to see whether his class could be accredited as a part of the degree requirement in the art department, because it was a Black Studies class. So he said, well, I know they're going to ask me about these Greeks and Romans. So he went up into the archives and started brushing up, getting ready for his interview. And he ran into this book published somewhere, I think it was in France. And it showed all of this collection of art throughout Europe, held in the Louvre and the British Museum, and I forget all the names. And it was all art that of Egyptian and African people who had appeared in ancient Greece and Rome. And there was coins, statues, cups, all with the African faces. It was incredible. And Vernell came running to me, man, you got to see this, you got to. And we went through that book, a big, thick book, maybe 300-400 pages. And there was just so much in there. I said, damn, they hiding all of this. And that right there, when I saw that, made me change my major. I changed from art to history. And when I got into history, one of the first things classes I had was I forget, history, U.S. History 101 or something like that. And the guy that conducted that class went through the whole semester and never once talked about slavery in the United States. Can you believe this? This is a U.S. History 101 class. So I stood him up about it. I said, man, why is it that you didn't even talk about slavery? You let this one student in the class do a presentation, took up the whole hour and a half or whatever, however long the class was, and talked about nothing but slavery in Brazil. So at the end of her presentation, I asked him, I said, well, what in the hell does slavery in Brazil have to do with U.S. history? Mm-hmm. And he said, you questioning my curriculum? I said, yeah, I'm questioning your curriculum. It's a U.S. history class. And boy, we started going around, some of the white boys in the back started standing up and said, sit down, turkey. And I said, we step out in the hallway. And anyway, it sort of got a little bit out of hand. And so then the next meeting of that class, the campus police came to the class. Can you believe? Mm-hmm. They asked me to step out in the hallway. So I went out there and they said, well, we hear you've been disrupted. So, I just went off on them. I said, what do you need? This is a U.S. history class, which I signed up for. We all signed up for. And I said, we all paid for. It's not free. We paying this. I ain't going to repeat the terms I used right there, to teach U.S. history. And yet he's going to let this girl talk about slavery in Brazil and overlook totally slavery in America. There's 30 at the time, 30-some million of us here, and you think we didn't have nothing to do with U.S. history? Anyway, we went around. So at the end of the semester, the guy gave me an A, trying to appease me. So then the next semester, I took a directed studies class with I was supposed to take it with the guy that was teaching ancient Greek and Roman history, but he was on sabbatical at the time. So I was still ready to do the paper on the origin of Christianity. So instead, since he wasn't there, they directed me to the religious department. So I go over there and I talk to this Catholic priest. I think his name was Battaglia. And he said, well, I can't give you credit towards history, but I will work with you on your paper. So we go through the whole thing. This guy never once questioned or confronted, I should say, anything I had to say. I used, man, the hieroglyphs, Stolen Legacy, all of these books, which I know he didn't have, but I used all of those to do the paper. And at the end of the paper, he gave his blessings. No, he didn't make a sign of the cross. He gave his blessings to it. And then he said that when the professor in history professor came off sabbatical, he would consult. If I needed to consult with him, he'd be available while I did this directed studies. Anyway, the guy, Dr. Hood, his name was, from ancient Greek and Roman history, came off sabbatical. So I go to see him. And I said, I want to do a paper on the origin of Christianity. Oh, man, he's all excited. Yeah, that's a great idea. He says, he made a sign. He wrote a contract. Said, you have to do this. You have to check this book out. He didn't know I already finished the paper. But anyway, he made all of this. He says, I need next week, you bring me an annotated bibliography. That means I had to list every book I used to research. And then I had to give a paragraph or two explaining what that particular book, why I had used it and how it helped. So I come back, I showed him my bibliography, and he says, all right, come back next week and I'll look this over, and then come back next week and I'll give you a critique on the bibliography and we'll go from there. So the next week I go back and he said, well, I can't take you as a student. I said, what? He says, I just can't take you as a student. I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? He says, well, first of all, I don't read any hieroglyphs. I don't know nothing about, I forget, wasn't just Stolen Legacy. And I don't have Rah's memory, so I can't remember the names of the books that I used. All of them were pertinent, and some of them were written by Black scholars. Anyway, he said he didn't have any of them. I said, oh, that's no problem. I got them. I'll just put them in your box, you know. Oh, I had Massey's Ancient Egypt. Anyway, this guy still insisted that he couldn't take me as a student, that I'd have to just drop the class. I said, well, what about this contract I got? He said, well, I just can't take it. I just went off. I said, well, you know what?
Listen,
a few days after that, I get a visit again. I think it was a call first from the administration, the university administration, asked me to come in there for some talk. So I go down there. This man had filed a complaint saying that I had threatened him. And his reason for me threatening him was, he said I called him a motherfucker. It's funny now. But anyway, the point is that the Catholic priest had showed him, he had asked me for a copy of my paper. He showed him a copy of it. And the only way I found out that this is what happened is because the secretary of the history department, I can't remember her name, but she was Black. And so she told me, that Catholic priest showed him the paper. That's why he wanted to drop you, because he didn't want to put his name on it, you know, and grade it. So anyway, what the point I'm trying to make is, if it wasn't for Vernell da Silva, who then hooked me up with Rahh and then Bede, and oh man, my whole world changed. And it changed me so much that I literally have been doing research ever since. ever since. I think that's 45 years or so ago. And, 3 books, countless lectures, traveled the whole country talking to people and going on radio and TV and just talking about all of this began with me taking that Black Arts class from Vernell de Silva, whom I think we all should always remember, because that brother really started me on my way. And then when I met Rahh, my goodness, you talk about a mentor. This guy's 10 years younger than me, and yet he's 100 years more intelligent than me. So I learned so much. My goodness, I totally it changed my life, and I'm doing it now. And in fact, I'll be teaching my own son down here in Kuumba, Christian. His name, ironically, is Christian. Teaching him about all of this stuff and what's going on in contemporary and historical and what slavery meant and all of this stuff. We go through it every day. So I just wanted to give my experience. And then, that first, remember we went up to Oakland to do
race conference.
Yeah.
We went up there for some conference, and then we went to some high school there. I remember we lectured to students in Oakland, in a high school there in Oakland. And we took a ride through San Francisco. I've never seen Omari so quiet.
Listen, I have Danifu on the line.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
Anyway, we went through, and I just am so grateful for the really almost accidental way I got into Black Studies. And I was married at the time to Naoko, who was an art major from Japan, an art student from Japan. And so I knew Japanese very well. I used to teach Japanese. So when I went into the hieroglyphs, then I started seeing all of these Japanese, original Japanese terminology in there. And then when you take into consideration the etymology and the difference in the way certain letters are pronounced in Japan as opposed to England, I could see that both languages had evolved out of Africa. And boy, oh boy, that's what started me on my way. And I'm still doing research almost every day.
All right, Brother Jubal.
Trying to uncover things.
Brother Jubal.
So I'm appreciative.
And Jubal is one of our guests on our platform, and he got we've had him on there about 3 times. We're gonna have him on there again with his wealth of knowledge and research about his books, Black Truth, Black Revelations, and the Conspiracy of Silence. They're all available on our website. You can get information if you want to get those books. But Sister Kareem, you said Brother Danifu's there?
He is.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Can we? Yeah, I can hear you. Can everybody hear Danifu?
Yes, sir.
Rashaki?
So, I guess I just thought I said I feel really excited to be here because I'm at home. They want me to tell people how it happened. Ooh, well, if I stick with the BSU, it started back in '68 when I was in junior high. My sister went to the Black Congress over there on Florence and Broadway. So that started for me there. When I went to high school, I was in the BSU. Before I got to Long Beach State, which was 1975, I had ended up getting into YA because I was involved in violent acts against white people, disrespecting people. All case of white people away over there on Florence and Vermont. We was kind of misguided, but we had the right idea. But the bottom line was education. Malcolm X And all the people that was at the Black Congress motivated me to education. I was always reading something pertaining to the revolution, Black Power, or culture, or whatever. So that would help me get out of trouble when I was younger. The focus on the struggle and trying to understand what is it, what's the problem, and what can I do about it. I knew that much. So that got me to college some kind of way. Napoleon Harris, he was the dean of student affairs at Cal State Long Beach. He came to CYA, that's in Chino somewhere, Ontario, and he was recruiting people potentially to go to Long Beach State. And while I was in there, I was trying to complete my high school credits, and eventually end up taking some classes at Cal State LA, Swahili, stuff like that. So when he came, that was the answer to my Billy Paul prayer. I went to Long Beach State, and now I'm at a place where I can study Black studies and be a part of the movement, you know, because they had a college movement. In those days, you know, students realized that they could change the world. I like that idea. Because my society, where I come from, it needed to be changed. So I liked it, loved it. And it was just like fish in the water. And I never really, you know, I never really thought I was going to college, to be honest with you. But when I got there, let's see, I went to the BSU, reported to the BSU. And I ran into Bobby Johnson and some other people was in the BSU in high school, but they weren't really Irvin Hurst and some other people, Gingy, I forgot what their name was. They were basically hanging out in the BSU office. And so I became the sergeant at arms. I really wasn't into talking that much. I was still trying to figure out what all these people were saying. And then I was scared to take major in Black studies because all the racists talk about how they're going to get rid of the program. So I majored in history. But, you know, I went for the okie doke on history. It's supposed to be, you know, unbiased history of the whole world, humanity, blah, blah. Where it really was white man history. And I was fighting with the history department. If it wasn't for the Black Studies department, I probably wouldn't have made it through college. Because if I do an A paper in the history department, I'll maybe get a D. So the Black Studies department kind of helped me balance out my grades. And it gave me all the references and resources I needed to do the research that I was interested in. I didn't know I was a Black nationalist or a Pan-Africanist or none of that. I wasn't familiar with why it's so evil to be a nationalist. These are kind of things that we were hearing in the movement on the college campus amongst young people. You know, that Black nationalism was evil, Pan-Africanism was communism, and we supposed to be nonviolent that way. Well, it was a little bit too late for that. But they still had elements of people hating on people who were willing to give their life to bring about change. So eventually ran into this big giant dude. He used to wear dashiki, and he looked mean too. But he probably needed to be mean because there's a whole bunch of crazy youngsters went to that school if we really go. And he'd be walking to his department, and we'd be like, oh, look at that dude, man. He bigger than us because he had the afro. And then it took a little while because he probably looking at a lot of youngsters like, oh, here's some more little weenies, what they call themselves doing. So eventually, I was able to take his class along with Danny Uku, and they nurtured me, showed me how to write papers, especially Scotty Uku. The Almond Rock thing was that was very interesting for a person that grew up in South Central because he was this big young dude who sometimes he wore suits too, you know? And he really wasn't into wearing suits after junior high. He'd come to class with suits on, 3 pieces. Stacy Adams, she would be like, oh, this cat got the... And then sometimes we hear people call him another name, Sleepy or so. That name before. So now we got a real role model here.
I tell you.
This guy be talking stuff that we didn't know nothing about. Sometimes we'd be like, oh, I don't want to listen to that Negro music. He'll make you listen to some classic Negro music, take notes, and then explain some of it, and you'd be like, oh, I would have never looked at it that way. Hey, that was the perfect role model for the young people I was in. And man, he used to
he's still talking.
To get us to understand politics, understand ourselves in the context of where the real world was. Because if he was faking, none of us listened anyway. So this guy was being himself. And he was really, mostly all the stuff he was teaching me before I get off on the other stuff, because this was my main mentor. He's teaching me things. I don't know why he told me, because I didn't understand nothing he said. I just memorized it. And then I found out, dang, this dude told me this 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago. Whoa. Now I'm looking at it like, all right, I'm ready. He'd always give me the ups on things. And even when I went to places I wasn't supposed to go, I was already groomed on what to expect. And then when it occurred the way he suggested it probably would, I already knew what moves to make. So that was one of the most profound experiences I had at Cal State Long Beach and be involved in the BSU, was to have a mentor like that who he wasn't scared, he wasn't no Uncle Tom. He showed me how to articulate, how to deal with politics on the college campus, because we weren't articulating on the street like that. So we had to have somebody to show us how you gonna handle these white folks without looking crazy or without the police running up on you in the classroom, right? And so he was real crucial in that, because whatever he'd say, when he wasn't there, we'd imitate him and go down there and chase them white folks into giving us what we want. That's how we know. He was the example. And his example showed us power. And he was doing it through education. So that just helped me grow and grow and grow and know that I'm not here to divide, I'm here to unite, right? And the spirit of unity became so intensified that it just exploded, just based on somebody standing up, showing you how it go practically. This is the revolution. This is how it goes. This is the spirit you should have. I felt free. I felt free. You know, real life freedom. It's something you can believe in and apply it, and it works. That's what happened to me at Cal State Long. It's a lot of other people, but basically, I don't know. Bobby Lee Johnson, he was helpful in hooking me up with the people up north, the Panther Party, and we went into the organization, the Coalition Against Police Abuse, and was bringing those ideas to the campus to help educate the other students and organize them so we could fight against apartheid, you know, because just because we're in America don't mean that we can't unite with our brothers to fight against, sisters to fight against the same, you know, white supremacy, imperialism, and all that goofy stuff that we still suffer from now, which is really not goofy, but, you know, it's a lot of people don't realize what we went through as students and what the professors went to. They even create the departments to get us there. Every little ounce of it, I appreciate because it went inside and gave me insight and more determination. And even when I fell, I knew to get up, dust myself off, and keep stepping forward to the future.
And Danifu, you're very modest, brother. You was one of the key leaders on campus during your era. You and brother Irvin Hurt. I forget Irvin's African name,
Hakeem.
Hakeem, Irvin Hakeem. You brought Gil Scott to the campus. I remember that. You and Irvin them, and you also had many demonstrations and speeches. You were the first to bring Farrakhan there, and he spoke on racism. You were very essential in mentoring. A lot of students looked up to your leadership. You influenced a lot of people. You was a hardline soldier. You understand? Hardline soldier. And you created a lot of soldiers up there that didn't know they were soldiering, but you made them soldier by your example of being a soldier. And we deeply appreciate all that you contributed to Cal State Long Beach student activism, because you were definitely active. You took the BSU, and then you were not only active on campus. I think you brought Brother Muhammad. I can't remember his name. He used to wear the turban and things. And all them brothers you brought to the campus to introduce them to college life, gave them a platform to put their ideas out. You were just a phenomenal leader, brother. And we deeply appreciate your contribution and all the things that you did. Brothers and sisters, it's getting a little late. Dr. Allen is in Denver. We got Brother Ernest McBride on, and Brother Mshinda out of Louisiana, Brother Omari Bakari out of Inglewood. And Omari, you want to make a comment before I close out? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, you said Omari. My bad.
Omari Bakari.
Well, you know, this is, I went to HBCU, and sitting here listening to these stories and these accolades, it makes me think I really missed out at going to a school in my backyard that I could have been in alignment with all these brothers and sisters and the activities that they engaged in. I'm actually just proud to know you, Professor Rahh, and some of the other people online that I grew up with that actually had an opportunity to grow and learn under your tutelage. And I also have to say that your sons, Omar and Ahmed Rahh Jr., they are just doing the most out here in this world, and I'm proud of them too, and proud to know that you've had that kind of impact on so many people. So, you know, that's it.
You know, Omari helped us create Soul Survivors. He's a great writer. He created the Compton, I forget the name. What was the name of the
Compton Journal?
The Compton Journal. I mean, this brother came from Howard with skills. He brought skills to our organization. A writer, a person that could generate art and information and know how to put a newspaper together, as well as help with my elections to city council, as well as just being a strong soldier. I mean, he was about 6'7", 6'6", 6'7". He was just a mountain of a brother that, you know, was very intimidating with his deep voice and things of this nature, but was always there behind us and standing strong. And we appreciate him. He went to Howard, graduated from Howard, but he's from Compton. Him and his brother and his family from Compton, right across from Davis Junior High School. That's where they lived. And it's just a beautiful thing that he's still pushing. And listen, brothers and sisters, as I close out. First of all, I want to thank Brother Ernest McBride for being here, because they set the tone. When I came to Long Beach State, I was a student. And I sat at the foot of his father's house, Brother Ernest McBride, who was over the Optimal Club and NAACP, but he gave us the information about the history of Black movement at Long Beach. And we took that information to the campus. I was a student activist at Compton College. Well, my student activism started in 1965 during the Watts Rebellion, where I got arrested for participating in the rebellion, did 45 days in juvenile hall. Kuumba was a little modest. His mother went to Cal State Long Beach. Carrie, at that time, she was Carrie Fountain, and she was a very instrumental member of the BSU also, as well as because we went to college together, me and his mother, at Cal State Long Beach. And she just was a dynamic person as far as raising him and doing the things that she did to shape his views. She lives in Denver now, and she loves it. She's saying, you ain't never coming back this way. You understand? And he done a good job. She got a nice condo. She got a nice car. She got a black church she go to. She's just as happy as she can be, and she's at peace. But at the same time, like I said, I grew up. My first activism was in the Watts Rebellion, and then I learned something from Dr. Karenga. Not when he came to Long Beach, but what they were teaching at the US organization. I was not a member, but he was talking about the key crisis in Black life was a culture crisis of values and views. And he taught you don't hate white people, you hate what they do. And then he said, our mission is to love each other unapologetically. So he taught me how to love our people. And every gesture that we do to help our people is a form of us giving ourselves reparations. You understand, from each other. You know, it's hard to demand Europeans to give us anything if we don't even give love and appreciation and respect for each other. You know, you don't get into just hatred. But anyway, Maulana and the US organization has taken over Black Studies. Black Studies and Black student activism was the driving force of Black consciousness on that campus. If it wasn't for you students, that was our army. You didn't know you was an army, some of them, but you were an army. You risked your lives. They shot students down at Kent State. They shot students down at Jackson State. They arrested students in Oregon and other places where student activism is. But we not only set the standard for Long Beach State, but we influenced Cal State LA, as Brother Minister Quayle Muhammad was saying, that, you know, we influenced Cal State LA, Northridge. They did some of the same speakers we would have, and we would exchange. We'd go hear them, they'd come to our campus. The Black Conscience Conference, all them Cal States and even community colleges came and attended the Consciousness Conference. And we touched a lot of hearts and minds. And we tried to win the hearts and minds of our people. And we won, and each and every one of you won the hearts and minds of many students that you touched, and creating a culture that when students came in, they wanted to know, you know, where the BSU was, where the Black people were. And all they had to do was just look up, because y'all was very visible in your unity and send these young students into a course. Things change. There's laws in the movement. As Minister Quayle would attest to, it's hard to stay Black in white America. I mean, it's overwhelming. And y'all have kept your consciousness by loving each other and helping other students wherever you are. Dr. Allen with her nonprofit program dealing with student suspension. Brother Kuumba dealing with student diversity. Minister Quayle dealing with the spirituality of Black people, that the original man is the Black man, under the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan. And, you know, we had Brother Harold X, Brother Abdul Khalid Muhammad, all of them on campus. At one time we had Sheikh Abubakari, Minister Harold X, what's her name, Linda Ferguson, Yolanda Reed. I mean, we had a Black power base on campus. And Dr. Correa, myself, Beast, and Salo. We even had a brother from the Pan-African movement out of South Africa, Dr. Lacey Malloy. I mean, we were rolling, and it's all because of y'all. If we didn't have strong students, they would have ran us off the campus. And we credit that to the atmosphere of the first BSUs in 1967. First with his brother Victor, and then brother Tony Wilkins, and the executive board of the BSU at that time, because they were hard line and they set a culture. The word BSU means Black Student Union. That means to represent the students for their needs and make sure that they weren't discriminated against. When we stood up for Annette Cannoli, when we stood up for Ron Settles, Roland Peterson, and we stood up for Dr. Karanga, myself, and the Black Studies, student enrollment, better financial aid services. Brother Sidney Lee, who's now Rashidi, would have never got to be a financial aid counselor if it wasn't for our struggle. Brother Knapp Harris, I knew his brother Bill Harris when I was in Watson, Compton, and Team Post. And that's when I met Knapp. We called him Knapp Harris. But then at that time, I mean, we had Black people that collaborated with the Caucasians and tried to sell us out and that. I mean, all groups have collaborators, look, we got collaborators today. Look at Clarence Thomas, that didn't stop the movement. You understand the diversity. But I just want to tell you how proud I am to see Minister Quayle Muhammad, Dr. Allen, Brother Ernest McBride, who's on with us. We're going to do a presentation recognizing his father's legacy in March sometime, and well as recognize those that have contributed. We have a moral duty to remember. Remember this. It's easy to tell students that they need to know their history, but it's our duty to teach it to them. It's our responsibility to raise it. And that's what this program was for you to share your wealth of knowledge and experiences, for how beautiful it was, and the accomplishments and the victories that we still stand on. I mean, Black Studies would have been gone if it wasn't for y'all. They didn't expect for it to stay a month. You understand? But it got BAs now. You got PhDs in it now. Nathan Hare and Julia Hare, we had all of them out there speaking. And like what Julia used to say, all Black woman wanted is a man with a BMW, a Black man working. You understand? And oh boy, she was tough. You understand? And over to Shaka out of San Francisco State, the State of the Race conferences where I took Irving and Brother Neefu. We all went to that at Davis Junior High School, and that was an inspiration. Those experiences, especially when we went to the State of the Race up in Oakland at Castlemont with Rose and Brother Asar Davis, Jerry Davis, and Brother, I think Quayle may have been with us. I'm not sure, but a whole bunch of people went with us. And we flew on them planes, and Rose almost had a fit because of turbulence. Man, I swear, why don't it stop? Why don't the plane stop? That was a beautiful experience. Them days. We flew on World Airlines. That plane was just shaking and Rose was having a fit. But we had a joyful time. I was having one too. I just didn't let her know it. And we landed, and we just rejoiced. But Rashaki, tell them about the CEN Community Education Network, why you started it, and that they're wealth they can come on. Brother Quayle, you have a standing invitation. Sister Ixchel, if you ever want to talk about education, Dr. Allen, this is your platform. This will be on YouTube. You can recommend people to it. Brother Thomas Muhammad is part of we're writing a book, and he's a part of our network also. But Brother Rashaki, who's an alumni of Cal State Long Beach, former star basketball player there, turned activist and institutionalist with this CNN program that we're on every Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you got a Tuesday or Wednesday, if you have somebody in town you want them to speak, just call us up and we'll try to make space for them. Go ahead, Brother Rashaki.
Hey, greetings, family. You all have inspired me to do what I'm doing, and it's all about us. And of course, Professor Rahh was the first inspiration for me getting to the Black Studies department, because when I finished playing basketball in '88, I was a recreation administration major, so I was out there, as Rahh would say. But as soon as I ran into Rahh taking classes at Compton College, that's when it all started. And then I was able to see Brother Abdul, Sabur, Muhammad, who else? Omar, Kuumba. And I saw their leadership, and they were just dynamic. And then Sister Amanika. I mean, that was the time when I was in the Black Studies department. Matter of fact, in '87 and '88, that's Abdul Sabur was there. He was the president, and that brother was so strong. And we was at that protest, and it was demonstrating. The brother was talking. I was like, yeah, this brother, he got it going on. So I had a great time in the Black Studies department. I graduated with Omar, so I just had a great time, and I hung with Professor Rahh all these years. And so this is my little part, my contribution, just to have people come on and we learn from them. That's why it's called community education. We learn from everybody. We even learn from the kids. So I'm just very appreciative of all of you. And we're just going to keep doing this until we can't do it. And then hopefully we'll be able to pass the baton to somebody else. But I appreciate everybody being here. And tomorrow we're honoring the works of Neely Fuller Jr. He passed on February 1st, and he's another person that inspired me to do the things that I'm doing today. So we're honoring him tomorrow, and I'm just
tell him who Neely Fuller was, Brother Rashaki.
Well, Neely Fuller is the mentor of Francis Cress Welsing, and he literally died doing his show. He did not own this show, but his last show was in November of '24. And so he worked until his death, and he has a counter-racist code book. And I'm pretty sure everybody on here know who he is, but exceptional individual, and we're gonna honor him tomorrow on the show.
Yeah, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, give him credit. We're giving her consciousness to what racism was as a global dynamic of white superiority. She always mentioned how she got turned on to racism through Neely Fuller. So if you're not busy, tomorrow at 6, we'll be talking, honoring him, morality of remembrance. And the other thing is, Sister Rose, your son, if he wants to come on and talk about his getting his law degree, and as well as his justice movement activities, he's welcome. Brother Quady, any of your sons, anytime they want to come on, just give me a call. You can get my number. My number is public. It ain't changed. 310-505-2358. And you can call me or call Kuumba Berry and contact me. Again, sometime in March, we're going to honor in morality of remembrance for their contribution to our movement, because many students don't know who laid the groundwork. And y'all didn't just talk about history, y'all made history. And that's why I wanted to get you on this program. All month we dedicated it to Cal State Long Beach and the Long Beach community for their contributions to the Black movement in that area, because they have some heroes and heroines, from John Rambo, the brother Big Mike Woodworth, the detective police that grew up in the neighborhood, the minister Cheney, Dr. Reverend Cheney and Reverend Easter and Reverend all those black ministers in Long Beach, as well as Kelly's Black Bookstore and Coleman's Cafe and the youth programs that they had, 555 Pacific Coast Long Beach Improvement League with at one time Minister Muhammad, oh God, Jimmy Swan, but his other name was, I forget minister's name.
Samad Muhammad.
Samad Muhammad was over the Head Start program in Long Beach at that time, along with William Martin, DeAndre. Go ahead, brother Ernest.
I'd just like to say, Brother Montgomery there, what year were you at the president NAACP?
At the which one? My son or me?
Omar.
Omar.
I'm currently president of the Aurora branch of the NAACP. And
the reason I asked, I did a presentation for the National Council of Negro Women, the Long Beach chapter, last week, and just gave a history on the beginning of the NAACP in Long Beach, up to the present time. And she was, Johnny Johnson called me, I guess, from the city councilwoman, the Cambodian lady that's a council lady now. And they wanted to know, all the past presidents. And I said, well, I only know the very first two, from my dad. And then the rest, on and off meetings. I missed a lot of meetings through the years because I remember, Frank Berry and some of the newer ones, and Naomi Rainey now, where we introduced the latest president now is Dr. Sharita Batts, B-A-T-T-S. So that was the reason I asked,
All right. Well, listen here. I won't keep y'all no longer. Brother Minister, I can't tell you how grateful we are for you to grace us with your time and your because being over a mosque is a lot of work. And it takes a lot of energy, but he's doing a great job in Oakland. If you're ever in Oakland, stop by the mosque and see Brother Quaidi Muhammad. If I ever go back, I was born in Oakland, but I haven't been up there lately, but I may travel to drive up there one day and just to go to the mosque and to see my brother. I like East 14th Street, Lady Esther's for years. They ain't there no more, but I used to love that restaurant. But all that is just good. And we just want to thank y'all, man. I mean, I can tell you, I could not have done the things I did without y'all having my back. You understand? And they knew y'all had my back.
And we still
do. And I appreciate I did 34 years there, and it was a student, that made me be able to talk boldness and craziness and to these white folks and demand justice. Along with Freddie Jett, Don Duran, it's just a list. J.P. Marsh, all these brothers and sisters throughout the years. When you there 3 decades, you meet a lot of people, a lot of students. But I'm so proud of each and every one of you that's gone on and become professionals. Brother Fareed, Brother Dr. Allen, Ixchel, Brother Tommy, all of y'all in public service and spiritual service and doing a lot of healing for people every day. And we just want to say thank you to Brother Omari Bakari and Brother Mshinda out of Louisiana. He was an activist at San Diego State. I mean, we all influenced each other. And Brother Patrick, words cannot express how beautiful it is to see you, brother. I mean, we all go through transformation. And, and just good to see you back in the front line. And, man, get my number from Kuumba and let's talk. And if we in the area, man, let's break bread, man. You're welcome to my house anytime, 24 hours, 7 days. Any of y'all. All right, then. Y'all have a good night.
Before you go, I finally found out, ran into a person Saturday that heard Malcolm X when he was here in Long Beach up over the TKE. Because like you mentioned, Coleman's restaurant was just before Coleman, they had a TKE that was owned by Levi Howard, a black thing. And all the activity was there because they had a room upstairs and they had Malcolm. So I met this guy, John Rambo.
Yeah.
Rambo, John, Malvo.
I know John Malvo.
Remember he ran that community Music Untold here in Long Beach? He remembers that.
Okay.
He followed Brother Malcolm all the way up to the Shabazz restaurant in LA, following him and watching what he ate to say he was writing it all down. So he was really into it, So yeah, I finally met someone besides my wife. She don't remember. So
that was good, and that was something to know that Malcolm had been to Long Beach.
Yeah, he'd been here, and then Moore last week, who was a gentleman that was on Matt Moore. Remember last week, a week before, he said his mom saw Malcolm up on Central Avenue, but he doesn't remember the year.
Oh yeah.
Trying to pinpoint that year, and so far got it narrowed down to the 50s, I think, because this was right after Malcolm got out of prison. He was going around really, spurring everybody up, boy. So he had Long Beach, the black community, really humping on that.
Yeah, that was before he took the Hodge. All right, then. Again, we're on tomorrow. And anytime y'all have anything you want to discuss, you contact Barry, me, my son, anytime. And we'll have you on the show. We'll make a date. All right, then.
What was your number again?
310.
Okay.
505-2358.
Because my granddaughter's getting ready to enroll at state.
All right, then.
Under a scholarship on the dean's list, so she's getting ready to go in the fall.
Well, congratulations.
They still got the Black Studies, like you say. I saw in the paper 2 weeks ago where they're doing a doctorate program in that. And it's still called because she's enrolling is the Black Studies program, what they're calling it now, the class.
Yeah, well, my whole family Black Study majors. My Kuumba got a degree in Black Studies and criminology. My daughter got studies with liberal arts with concentration in Black Studies. My other daughter was the first to graduate from UC Irvine in Black Studies. My son got Little Almond. He got a BA from Cal State Dominguez in Black Studies, and my wife, she graduated in Black Studies. So we deep into Black Studies.
Learned a lot about it. I was in 63, 64, and then I was out of there quitting. I came back, graduated in 78, taking night classes because they offered them at the shipyard. With Willie Martin, what I get from you guys, and then our piece, what I always hear from Willie Martin and D, because we all still communicate, and so learning really a lot now.
Yeah, we're gonna learn some more, brother. And you're a hallmark here, brother.
Passed, don't you?
Huh?
Ernie Clark.
Yeah, Ernie Clark. Remember Ernie Clark? He was over EOP.
My cousin.
I think he passed in Oregon.
Right.
Yeah, he went up to Oregon. Joe White, and a number of brothers. Clyde Taylor, he was in New York. All of them brothers. That history. Hey, again, assalamu alaikum, abani gani, tutanada. Y'all take care. Thanks, Patrick. You got the number, brother.
Yes, sir. It's so good to see you all.
I'm up north. You're gonna be the first person I look
Haley.
All right.
I